We are joined by Alabama head coach Nick Saban, defensive player of the game Eddie Jackson, and offensive player of the game O.J. Howard. Coach Saban will start with opening remarks from you when you're ready.
Well, first of all, I'd like to say good morning. I'm sure we all had a very restful, peaceful evening, night, short night. First thing I ask these guys, you get a good night's sleep? You know, I wish you could turn it on and turn it off, but I wake up at 6:15 every day, no matter what time I turn it in. It was a late night last night, but it was a fun night and one that we'll always remember. So, very proud of our team, the way they competed in the game, the way they made plays when they needed to make them, the way they overcame adversity all year long to get to this point and create an opportunity for themselves that they were able to take advantage of. So, can't say enough about everybody involved with our team. Talking about the coaches and the players and our administration at the University of Alabama and all the people who work in administrative roles to set the table, to help us have a chance to be successful. And I know we all appreciate all that they do, and obviously being able to accomplish things like this is something that's special for all these players that they'll remember for the rest of their life. So we're just really humbled, honored, and pleased that we were able to accomplish this with this team, and I'm very proud of this group.
We'll open it up for questions. Again, as a reminder, please give us your name and affiliation and let us know who your question is addressed to. We're going to start right here in the middle section, near the back.
Coach Saban, Mike Breda, ABC 3340 in Birmingham. Congratulations, first of all, on the championship. And I was curious, this is the fourth in 7 years for Alabama. What, in your opinion, is the historical significance of that?
Well, I know you all think I'm a little bit crazy, so I'll just go ahead and be crazy. But you know, I think that sometimes success can put a distorted perspective on things, you know, for you to some degree. I look back to 1998, and we were 4-5 at Michigan State, and we were going to Ohio State to play the #1 team in the country. If somebody would have told me then that this would have happened, I would have said, I think you're crazy. But you remember those times, and you remember all the lessons that you learned in terms of developing a process that works for young people to have a chance to be successful, a team dynamic that gives you a chance to be successful. And, you know, right now, as long as I'm going to continue to do this, I'm going to keep things in perspective and look forward and not backward. I think it's a tremendous accomplishment by a lot of great people, a lot of great coaches, a lot of great players, a lot of whom were at the game last night. That really makes us proud that they're great ambassadors for the university and always happy to come home. So I can't really talk to you much more about the perspective and the significance of this, because moving forward doesn't really mean a lot.
Take our next question from the far left in the very front row. Dennis
Scott, CBS Sports. Nick, you're going to lose any number of starters and underclassmen. You're going to lose your defensive coordinator. Quantify what the rebuild, I guess, is going to be like coming back to win another championship.
You know, I always think there's, when you have success, and we've had this just about every year, I think it's a transition that every team has to go through. And it's like taking a new job. You know, it's a new season, it's a new team, new group of guys, new leadership. People are in different roles, and that's the challenge, you know, each and every year. Obviously, recruiting is important, and continuity is important in recruiting. Players are important in recruiting. Relationships are important in recruiting. So all these things are just, you know, transitions that you have to go through to try to do the best to build the strongest team, you know, and for next year.
Take our next question in the row behind her.
Kurt Bowles from the Office of American Statesman. Nick, doing this over and over, does it take its toll in any way on you, and how long do you feel like you can keep this going?
I don't feel like it takes a toll. As long as I enjoy being around players, and I think the self-gratification that people have to understand is, I know as fans, and I know as people who have interest in the game, the result of the game is really the most significant thing, the most important thing. But I've talked about this before, perspective of college football is, I know it's an entertainment business, I get that, and I understand that, I know winning is really important, but from a program standpoint, from a philosophy standpoint, helping these young guys develop as people, seeing them have a chance to be more successful in life, seeing them graduate, going to graduation, taking 23 pictures at mid-semester with guys that graduated, having 29 guys playing this game that already graduated, seeing guys develop kind of competitive characteristics and work hard to develop physically so they have a chance to play at the next level. See people develop careers, see our institution use the resources it has to help guys launch their careers. I mean, this is what college football is all about. This is the self-gratification that you get from being a college coach. It's not just winning the game. It's not just winning the championship. It's always the goal as a competitor, but there's a lot more things that are very positive in terms of what you try to do internally in your organization to help people build relationships, and I think that's the fun part of being a part of a team.
We're going to go here in the middle section, slightly to our right and back.
Nick, Rick Carley, Fox 6 in Birmingham. You've talked before a little bit about how special this group is, especially after that loss to Ole Miss, how resilient they've been. Can you address that for us this morning?
Well, I think you always have respect for competitors. I mean, it's one of the things that I respect most about people, that you can say someone's a great competitor, that really is something that I have a tremendous amount of appreciation for. And I think that the competitive resiliency that this team showed, how far they came, how they hung together as a group, the leadership that we had on the team that helped them to stay together as a group, the togetherness that created, it's really kind of something special. And I think if you've never been a part of a team, it's probably hard to understand, but it's fun to be a part of that. Everybody working for a common goal every day. I have a lot of people who dissipate from the principles and values of what you try to lay down to show them what they need to do to have a chance to accomplish the goals that they have. And when a group of people do that, it's just something really special, and that's what this team has been. And they probably came further as a group because of that than maybe any group that we've ever had.
We'll go to the aisle in the middle, Ralph.
Nick, Ralph Russo with the Associated Press. You mentioned how much longer you might want to do this. Are you at the point in the career and in your life where you have those thoughts, maybe make some considerations, have conversations with your wife and family about how much longer you might want to do this?
Well, I didn't know I said anything about that, but the one thing I have always said is I've been a part of the team since I was 9 years old. It scares me to ever think of the day when I wouldn't be a part of the team. And, the feeling that you get being associated with a group like this makes you want to do it more. So that's kind of how I feel about it. I know you can't do this forever, but I certainly enjoy the moment and certainly look forward to the future challenges that we have, and really have no timetable for ever not being a part of the team.
Going to go over to our left in the middle, Tony.
Tony Barnhart, SEC Network. Nick, what is the process of, right here, Nick, what is the process of sitting down with your juniors and helping them make the decisions they need to make? How does that work?
Well, basically, I let the players sort of decide how they want to manage that. Each and every year, we have a meeting after our last game. This year, last game being SEC championship game, decide, who wants to submit to the junior committee to see what their draft status would be. We have an agent education program that we have people involved with their families, as well as the players, to teach them the things they need to know about making a good business decision about how they should pursue their future. Then I let the players sort of decide how they want to manage it. Do we want to do this now, between now and the bowl game, or now and the playoff game, or whatever the circumstance is? Or do you guys want to sort of postpone it until we get finished playing? And even though we had guys submit paperwork this year because they have to do it by December 18th, everybody chose to postpone it. So we'll have meetings on Wednesday, tomorrow when we get back, and I'll share the information that we've gathered from teams as well as the junior committee, so that everybody has the best chance to make the best business decision that they can for their future. So I really appreciate the maturity that our guys showed this year in terms of staying focused on what was important for the team and putting that first, and I think it worked out really well for us.
We're going to go into the very middle on the aisle in the back.
Chris Maurice, WIAT, CBS in Birmingham. Coach Saban, on a lighter note, it was documented on social media that Lane Kiffin missed the bus last night. Do you know what happened with that?
He ended up hitching a ride with me. I miss the bus about every game, so I'm always anybody's fallback for a ride. I just think he was, probably happy and taking his good old time about, talking to players and that type of thing. So I don't think it was any. We enjoyed having him with us.
We'll take our next question from over here on our right, near the aisle.
Greg Logan, Interstate. Everybody is always going to remember this game and talk about that onside kick because it was so unexpected. Do you see that, though, as a reflection of how well prepared you were to take the risk in that situation?
Well, I think it's a calculated risk when you do something like that, but I think it's calculated based on your ability to execute relative to what the other team is sort of giving you. And I think I spoke about this last evening, that you always have fakes in all these areas, and you always have special plays that you might use in certain situations. And I think the thing that we look for as the game progresses, are they actually giving us that look that this might have the best opportunity to be effective in? We felt like that was the case last night. I felt like, I think the score was 24-24, something like that, when we did it, that we actually needed to change the momentum of the game a little bit. They sort of controlled the third quarter a little bit on us, and it certainly, because it worked, it was well executed. It's a great kick by Griff. It was a good job by Marlon to do it exactly like we drew it up. And we scored on a big play, I think, right after that. And I think that changed the momentum of the game, and we got ahead in the game, which allowed us to play a little differently because we weren't playing great on defense. And obviously, Deshaun Watson is a fantastic player. Probably had as big an impact on the game as any single player in the game. So to get ahead, I think when you're playing against a player like that is really, really important. And I think it helped us change the momentum of the game.
We're going to go back over to the left-hand side in the back. Heather. OJ,
Heather Dinich over here with ESPN.
Thank you, Heather.
Can you explain just what it's like, how hard the decision is in terms of weighing the option of the NFL to try and help people understand what goes through your head, how difficult of a decision it is, and just the kind of issues and things that you'll be talking about with your coaches and your family?
I don't think it'll be hard at all. Once I sit down with Coach Saban and my family, Coach has made the right decision. He's always done that for me since I've been at the university. You don't have to think about it too much during the season. You just want to play football. If you get focused on trying to win early and other things, mess up with stuff. But at the end of the day, I'll sit down with Coach tomorrow. Like I said, and we'll make the right decision.
I think that one thing that we've tried to emphasize with our players philosophically, maybe I should explain this when Tony asked me the question earlier, is, we try to emphasize with our players, if you're a first-round draft pick, the business decision is you should go out for the draft. If you're in a position in the draft where you can enhance your value by staying in college, then maybe you should go out for the draft. We've had a significant number of players, 17 I think, I might be off one or two, and there were only 2 of those 17 guys, 15 made good decisions about the best business decision for them. And in some cases, Reggie Ragland last year had a second-round grade. I'm sure he'll be a top 15 pick this year. If you want to do the math on that, that's like maybe $12, $14 million decision. Mark Barron did it a few years ago. He was a second-round guy, became the 7th pick in the draft. That was a $16, $18 million decision. Plus he graduated. So, there's a business aspect to making this decision that I've always tried to get our players to make a business decision. I know every player that's a good player on our team has aspirations and goals and wants to play in the NFL. But you can sort of minimize your value if you get antsy and go out for the draft early, because now you're going to sign a 3 or 4 year contract for a lot less money, and you got to play with that. And to me, your value and security as an NFL player is based on how much they pay you, because it's the unearned money that they can't get back on the salary cap that gives you security. So our players have typically made really good decisions about how they can enhance their future by staying in college and making good business decisions about what they do rather than just emotional decisions about, I want to play in the NFL. But sometimes that's not the best thing for them to do at that particular time. The NFL's not going to go away. They'll have all those opportunities next year.
We're going to come over here to our right on the aisle.
Alex Bynum, Townsdale. For the players, we obviously see a certain side of Nick. Who is Nick Saban that only the players see? And what was it like seeing him celebrate with joy last night against the championship?
Eddie, let's start with you.
Coach Saban, regardless of going out the field, he's a great coach, a great mentor. You just seeing him smile on his face. It was just a great feeling because we accomplished something that we worked hard for. We came short to get to the road, so really just accomplished what we accomplished. It feels good.
Okay.
Yeah, I agree with it. Coach Saban, he's going to coach us hard. We know business is business when we get on that field, and we take everything serious. But we have a second side to us when we win. We're off the field. Coach Saban jokes with us. We laughed like y'all saw last night, and I think we deserve that. When we win, we should have fun and celebrate.
We're going to take our next question back on the riser off to our right.
Tom Benino, WBTN TV in Birmingham, for Eddie and Nick. I want to go back to last night for a second. Ronnie Harrison with that pass breakup in the end zone. Maybe a play that might not show up as much as a scoring play. How big was that play in the game, and what does that say about Ronnie's maturity and how much he's developed as a player?
Ronnie's a guy, he come in, he works hard every day, day in and day out, weight room, on the field, off the field, he does right things. And like Coach Saban and the rest of he's the coach that emphasize and finishing. And that's basically what he did. He finished, he never gave up on the play, he finished it, and was able to get the ball out.
Okay, we'll take our next question.
Well, I guess that was for me too. You know, Ronnie's done a really good job for us all year long. I think the biggest challenge for young players is how do they stay focused, you know, over a long period of time, over a long season. And Ronnie's made some really good plays for us all year long. And I'm sure these experiences are going to help him continue to develop to be a very good player in the future. And, you know, just let me put it different. I talk about perspective sometimes. So, and look, I don't want to minimize anything that was accomplished by this team. But just to put this in perspective, and, you know, these guys will kick me for saying this, but if this was the first game of the season instead of the last, what would we be talking about now? You guys would be asking me about how to give up 40 points and how to get 400 yards passing and all that kind of stuff. So, I mean, I kind of get it.
We're going to go back over to the left, our left on the aisle.
Nick Daniel from USA Today, right out here. What will be the next college football focused activity or effort you expect of your players when you get back?
Well, I think it's been a long season for our players. I think they need some downtime. We typically, if we play on January 1st, don't start until maybe the last week of January, just a lifting program, a couple weeks of off-season program, and a couple weeks after that. Try to get them recentered academically. We start school tomorrow, so that guys get back in the right routine, developing the right habits about what they have to do to be successful in school. So, you know, recruiting is obviously something that we all participate in. It's very important for the players on your team to contribute to, you know, recruiting players that they want to play with and can play with in the future, or talented guys that we need to develop relationships with, or continue to develop relationships with. So, you know, there's a lot of things going on. You know, the bus doesn't stop. We've got to keep rolling and just take things day by day. But I do think that our players need, from a physical standpoint, a little downtime in terms of what they need to do to get ready for next year, because we've had a significant amount of practice that, you know, other people wouldn't have at this time of year. So we need to get some guys healthy and get some rest time, get some downtime before we, you know, delve into, you know, what we want to do for next year.
We're going to come over here on our right on the aisle.
OJ, Stephen Gunner, WSFA Montgomery. We spoke to you last night on the field. You said you were asking your teammates on the sideline to wake you up. It was kind of like a dream. Well, you're awake right now, day after a game. You're heading back to be a rock star, so to speak, at home. How does it feel, man?
Feels great. You know, I won't be able to do all this without my teammates, though. You know, Jake, he threw the ball to me, offensive line block well, and gave Jake the opportunity to throw the ball to me. But man, it feels great, you know, just to be able to make plays for your teammates and to score a touchdown in such a big game. And I think everybody back home will be proud.
Stay on the same section, up front a little bit.
Hi, I'm Mark Tracy, New York Times. This is for Eddie and OJ. You know, this is the only, sorry, over here. I know it's the only locker room you're in, but you must know guys on other teams, talk to guys on other teams, your experience playing other teams. Leaving talent aside, talking more about culture and attitude, what, if anything, is different about your guys' team and locker room as opposed to all the others?
Just that bond we have. You know, we're all like brothers in the locker room. That friendship off the field, that's the most important thing, I think, is the friendships you build off the field. You know, everyone has to be, you know, on the same page on the field, but when you can become close, you know, at home, you know, going out, stuff like that, it builds that tremendous relationship, and I think our team does a great job with that this season.
Yeah, I agree with you. I mean, when in the locker room, you know, somebody makes a bad play, no one, you know, gets on them. Come on, pick it up, you know, everyone lifts each other up, you know, it's like, it's, like we said, we're a band of brothers out there, you know, on and off the field. We hang with each other in the locker room, we hang with each other in the dorm room, or our apartments, whatever, we just create a bond.
We're going to go right in the middle on the aisle.
Mike Breda, ABC 3340 Birmingham. This is for both Eddie and OJ. Eddie first. I don't think very few people probably expected both you guys to be the MVPs last night. What was your expectation of the game? I know players the night before the game like to fantasize about what they see themselves doing in the game. What was your expectation for the game, personally?
I mean, I just wanted to come out there and help my team win national championship. That was the only thing on my mind. MVP wasn't on my mind at all, to be honest. You know, just like Coach Saban said, dominate your box and do your job. So that's what I came out focused on.
Yeah, that was the biggest thing for me, just dominating my box. I do that at the defensive line, and my focus was like trying to block the entire game. And but the way they're set up, running cover 2 and cover 1, less opportunities for me to make plays, and that's what really happened. But there was no chance of me thinking about the MVP at all. I just wanted to go out there and play and win a national championship.
Okay, we're going to go over to the far left in the back.
Nick, Stuart Mandel from Fox Sports. You've now been through the playoff twice, both of his first 2 years, and you mentioned in the past a little bit of concern about, as exciting as the playoff is, what effect that would have on the other bowl games. TV viewership was really down this year for games like the Rose and the Sugar Bowls. How concerned at all should college football be about that going forward?
Well, there's a couple things that I learned about this. That was my concern when we started all this. But I think our players would, sort of agree with me on this, that it was really, really difficult after a long season for us to maintain this sort of intensity that we had. I thought our players were really locked in for the Michigan State game and the first playoff game, and knowing that we were playing even a better team in Clemson in this game, it was really hard when we came back after that game, after even we took a couple days off, to sort of get recentered and refocused on playing this game. So I know that you can say, well, in the NFL they have playoffs, and sometimes you have to play 3 or 4 games in the playoffs, but I think professional athletes are a little bit different than college guys. That these guys gave up their whole sort of vacation from December, whatever it was, 10th when school was out, until we're going to school tomorrow. So there's quite a bit of sacrifice that gets made, and I think it's a challenging sort of, how do you get a team to maintain the focus they need to have? And I can sit here and say we practiced too much for the game, but yet when I looked out on the field, we had a lot of guys that got tired in the second quarter. And so, from that perspective, and I told these guys, and I knew we were struggling psychologically a little bit, getting ready for this game to try to. I knew everybody wanted to do it. Everybody was geared up to do it. But I told them, this is how do you want to be remembered? We always talk about playing 60 minutes, but this is a 60-10 game. It's 60 minutes in the game, and then the 10 minutes in the locker room after the game that you remember for the rest of your life, and what you accomplish actually even transcends your life, because they put a plaque up that this team won the national championship. And the 1926 team, who I'm sure most of those players are not around anymore, they still have a legacy. So now, the accomplishment is significant, I guess is what I'm trying to say. But on the other hand, I am concerned about how does a playoff and a bowl system coexist? And how could we make it better if that's possible, or get it right? I think it's difficult on the fans too, as well as I'm sure the players would agree. We go stay in Dallas for a week to play a game. We come home for 5 days. We come out here for 3 or 4 days to play. I mean, that's hard on fans. It's hard on players. I think it's a great venue. I'm not complaining, but it's just difficult. You don't have that circumstance in the NFL. You play home and away games when you're in the playoffs. So this whole dynamic of how do we keep a healthy bowl system, which I think is great for college football. It's a lot of positive self-gratification for a lot of players who had a good season. and the national interest that we have in playoff, which sort of overwhelms the importance of all the other ball games.
We're going to take our next question from over here on the aisle on our right.
Yes, Dwayne Rankin, Montgomery Advertiser. 2 questions. One for OJ first. Have you wrapped your head around the game you had? I mean, your sophomore year, you had 260 yards receiving. You had 205 last night. And then for Coach Saban, how important is it to see those seniors who were freshmen on the last championship team and not be factors on this championship team?
Well, man, it was a big game for me last night. I really haven't really soaked it all in yet, and the opportunity to. But like you said, man, it was a tremendous accomplishment for me. I'm proud of what happened last night for us and as a team. But I was just thinking it'd take a couple days before I can all realize that what really happened for me.
You know, I didn't see one guy in the locker room after the game that was celebrating anything but the team win. I didn't see one guy pouting about I didn't get the ball enough. I didn't see one guy pouting about how many yards I gained. I didn't see one guy pouting about how much I got to play. I didn't see that. I saw a bunch of happy guys based on what they were able to accomplish together as a group. And so I don't know that. I think every guy wanted to do what these 2 guys said. I want to do everything I can do to help our team have success. And I'm sure they're proud of what they were able to accomplish and achieve in the game. But I think all the players are happy and proud for what the team was able to achieve and how they contributed to it over a long period of time, not just one game, 15 games.
Okay, we're going to take our last question over here on the far right. Tony, do you have a question?
Mark Anderson, Las Vegas Free Journal. For both players, going back to what Coach Saban said just a minute ago about the toll the playoff takes on you guys. From a player's perspective, can you just elaborate on that?
Yeah, like Coach said, it's kind of a lot to stay in Dallas for a week, come back home for 5 days, and come here for 3 or 4 days. It's just a lot of traveling, and you just gotta get used to the different type of weather. We came here, humidity was different. Had to learn different breathing patterns. We had to start treating our body right by hydrating like a couple days before the game, 5 days before the game. But it's just a lot. But if you want to win a championship, I guess you got to suck it up and do what it takes to win.
Yeah, I mean, it's tough. I mean, it takes a toll, and you're not able to get settled. Once you get comfortable, then you got to up and go over it. So, I mean, it was difficult, but we have a great training staff and coaching staff that put us in the right conditions to keep our body right.
At this point, we're going to let the players head back. We appreciate your time. Thanks and congratulations. We're now going to move into the photo op, which will be brief if we can get Coach to stand next to the championship trophy. If we could keep everybody in the front down on your knees, we're going to